Kyle, did I pronounce that correctly?
Perfect, thank you.
Let me try that again. Kyle Makarios.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you very much for this opportunity to be, I guess, the caboose of a very long train. Good jobs, affordable housing, and a good transportation system to get from one to the other. That's my vision for the metropolitan region, and achieving these goals on a regional level is the Met Council's role. It is critical that our entire region, urban and suburban communities, work together and benefit together from our regional investments. I'd like to talk about my experience and perspective in 3 areas. First, good jobs. There is no more important policy task for policy leaders in this region than to ensure that our public investments lay the groundwork for private investment and the job creation that comes with it. With the Carpenters Union, I interact on a daily basis with people who've borne the brunt of this recession. The construction industry makes up 4% of the employment in Minnesota, but represents almost 25% of the current unemployed. That means that there are 50,000 unemployed construction workers in Minnesota right now. For 3 years, I've worked with the Building Jobs Coalition, unions, contractors, development agencies, municipalities, and developers to come up with policy ideas to leverage private sector development into construction. Our work has led to hundreds of millions of dollars in new economic development. That's why I'm excited about the work the council is doing in this area. For instance, in January, the Met Council approved $3.6 million in tax-based revitalization account grants. Focused on 13 projects all over the region, these grants will leverage $139 million in private investment. It's $3.6 million in public investment for $139 million private investment. Great leverage. These are the kind of programs I'm excited to work on. And of course, no single project will have a greater jobs impact, especially in my district, in Central Corridor. But to be frank, Central Corridor has caused some uncomfortable conversations within the construction industry. As I said before, it's imperative that all of our communities benefit from our regional investments, and one of the benefits of massive infrastructure projects is the construction jobs to build them. But the construction industry has historically done a lousy job of hiring and retaining people of color. That must change, both in the short term and over the long term. But how do we put 50,000 construction workers back to work, while also ensuring new opportunities for people who've been traditionally left out? My experience with the Carpenters Union has put me in the thick of these discussions. There's no easy answer to it, but it must be done thoughtfully and deliberately and with an eye towards long-term results. For instance, the Carpenters Apprenticeship Program, largely through partnerships that I helped establish and strengthen, now has 18% minority participation. If I'm selected for the Met Council, I will be a respected and insightful voice in discussions regarding racial equity and infrastructure investment. Second, affordable housing. I'm very passionate about affordable housing. I live in affordable housing. 9 years ago, my family and I moved into a house that we purchased from the Rondo Community Land Trust, an outstanding community organization. This has had a tremendous impact on my family, and I've been a strong advocate for housing programs since then. I'm now proud to say that I serve as Secretary-Treasurer for the Minnesota Housing Partnership and regularly advocate at the legislature for increased funding and new tools to increase affordable housing development. Third, transportation. I'm an enthusiastic supporter of connecting our communities, homes, and jobs with a regional, multimodal, efficient transportation network. As a member of the Transportation Alliance Legislative Committee, I've advocated in St. Paul and Washington, D.C. for transportation projects in our region. Finally, just a few words about qualities I believe I bring to the Met Council. I know that I don't have as long a resume or as the extensive academic qualifications that many other applicants have. But I hope that you'll look at the letters of support that I've gotten from business and community leaders, Democratic leaders, and Republican leaders as a sign that I'm respected for my work ethic and ability to deliver results. If selected, I will deeply engage in the work, participate meaningfully, and I hope earn the respect and trust of my colleagues as we make this metropolitan region a better place to live and work for all of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll ask you how you would maintain or develop your relationships with local units of government, counties, other stakeholders in the district, and while keeping regional perspective.
thank you, Makarios. When I started thinking about whether or not I would be interested in applying for this position, one of the first things I did is reach out to several of my city council members and several city council members from the city of St. Paul to get their perspective about how they interact with the Metropolitan Council. And that was just my gut instinct, was to reach out to my local elected officials because I frankly couldn't imagine doing this job without having regular, ongoing, systematic communication with City Council and Ramsey County. But as Councilmember Carter knows very well, we have additional challenges in our neighborhood, specifically because of Central Corridor, to make sure we have regular and ongoing communication with the affected communities, including the community that I live right in the middle of, because of the drastic impacts that Central Corridor will have on us. And in fact, one of the community leaders who signed on to my letter of support told me, Kyle, I'll support you, but listen here, we're going to have meetings. Okay? So I made that commitment to him, and we'll make it again, that we will expect to have meetings in the community with people interested.
You mentioned jobs impact, and I appreciate that conversation. In addition, are there any other areas in which you believe the Met Council should be engaged in maximizing that the return on the investment of Central Corridor?
Sure, thank you, Councilmember. The current discussions around jobs in Central Corridor are primarily focused on the construction jobs to actually build the line. But some of us are thinking beyond that, and as clearly are the planners. But the private economic development along the corridor is going to vastly eclipse the actual construction work of building the line itself. And so I think it makes a whole lot of sense for us to start thinking now about how that construction is going to look, and make sure that it benefits not only the region but also our community. And much of that work has gone on. For instance, the stop, there will now, because of discussions in our community, be a stop that means that I can use Central Corridor, because there will be a stop in Victoria Street. That will benefit folks in my neighborhood and me, because it means that there will be a stop walking distance from my house, whereas before there would not. So I think access to the line will be critical. I think that the jobs related to the private development, both in construction and long-term jobs along the corridor, thinking about that, and clearly making sure that there are new housing options that are affordable for people along the income scale are going to be critical as we think through the long-term impacts.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kyle. We'll take any additional comments that people would like to make, up to 1 minute each. Please introduce yourself.